Welcome back to another Agency Connect. I'm Sunir, CEO of AppBind. I'm here with Piyush from Blue Vector, a HubSpot Diamond partner in India, who went through the crucible of basically what we talk about every time on this podcast, which is the scalability trap and how to get out of it. Or in their case, they got stuck right in it and they figured out their way out. And I think his story is a very good story of how agencies go through the scalability trap and are forced to deal with it. Thank you so much for being here. Mike, why don't you introduce yourself and Blue Vector and what you guys do?
Sure. Thanks for having me, Sunil. So I'm Piyush. I'm the founder of Blue Vector. We are a group of creative agencies. We have multiple brands under Blue Vector right now. We specialize in video production, brand identity, content marketing, inbound marketing, and website design. So yeah.
And so you're a diamond partner of HubSpot right now in India, which is quite an achievement. How long did it take you to climb up to that?
I think we started a journey with HubSpot in 2018. So it's taken us 3-4 years because the HubSpot ecosystem in India is very nascent. It's still growing. So it took us 3 to 4 years to kind of become a diamond partner.
That's amazing. It was actually relatively quickly. So congratulations, hats off to you.
Thank you.
And then your clients are like, what kind of companies are you dealing with?
So in India, we work with brands like Volvo. So basically a lot of top automobile brands like Volvo, Audi, Porsche, a lot of top real estate brands like Trump Towers. So when they came to India, they reached out to us for their marketing, etc. So a lot of luxury players, automobile, real estate, and others.
Okay, that's pretty impressive clientele. I should ask, getting to your first brand is really difficult. How did you break the ice?
It was luck, I would say. So when we started out, we were doing branding and social media marketing for a lot of small F&B outlets. The Audi marketing manager was a frequent visitor at one of these joints and used to really like the marketing. So he inquired that, hey, which is the agency that does all the creatives for you guys? So that's how we got introduced, and then we got invited to a pitch with all the other big agencies. And we were very small at the moment. So when we got the opportunity, I in fact refused. I told them that, look, guys, we are too small for something like this. Maybe you should look out for other agencies. But he said, no, I've seen your work. I am confident that you guys are good. So why don't you guys just pitch? So like, okay, if you insist. We pitched, we won the account, and that's how things started to flow for us.
It's pretty impressive. The last couple podcasts we've done, I've decided to call it the Super Bowl moment. We had one agency on, also from India, Mavenwit. They're one of their clients won the Super Bowl, and that's in your case, it was your actual quality of work, and then someone noticed it who wanted it. So I think that's a little bit less luck and more opportunity. Being prepared for the chance. And so before we get into the story, which is the story at the conclusion, but you're not just one agency anymore. You're broken down into different projects. So like, what is your current structure of of Blue Vector?
So Blue Vector, as I said, is a group of agencies at the moment. We have 4 brands under Blue Vector at the moment. So we have Dot Films, which is the video production house. We have Content Ninja, which is the inbound marketing company. We have Vololu, which is the branding studio. And we have Unclutter, which is the website design studio.
It's pretty uncommon, which we'll get to why you have multiple brands as an agency. Right. But just finally, because we really are after like, what are the margins in an agency? You have different kinds of commercials with your clients, right? So I imagine the video is more project-based, is that right?
Yes. So the video, the branding work, the website work, these are all project-based. The inbound marketing and the content marketing stuff is retainer.
Yeah, and you've crossed 7 figures now in recurring revenue annually, right? Yes. Yeah. Okay, awesome. So this is why I had to have you on. You figured it out. So let's do the beginning, middle, end of your story. So what was it the problem? Like, why did you decide to split your agency up into what trouble did you get into?
Sure. So when we started out, Sunil, we were a full service agency trying to do everything under the sun. And we realized, obviously, we are very good at certain things. We are probably just good at a few things. And what happened while we were scaling as a full service creative agency, we grew to around 45, 50 people. Obviously, the fixed costs were high and our revenues depended on 2 or 3 very large clients. And for, like I would say, stroke of bad luck, both these clients got into some legal trouble with the government. And we, like in a matter of a week, both of them backed out. So that was like a huge hit. A lot of payments were due, which didn't come for considerable amount of time, and our revenues just tanked suddenly. So that got me thinking that is this model even sustainable? Like as agencies, we grow, um, you know, vertically, and we scale our costs. But if you have one or two big hits, and you're trying to then figure out what to do next. So that's what happened to us. More of a scalability trap, as you said earlier. And also, what we realized, the other mistake that we were making at that point was chasing revenues. When you're running an agency, the most important thing is your cash flows. And we learned it the hard way. So after that, we decided that let's focus on cash flows. Now, how do we get to better cash flows? We realized if you're in a retainer business and trying to do everything under the sun, jack of all trades, you get decent clients who pay you decent money. But if you're an expert at something, you get to work with great brands who are looking for great work, and they have the ability to pay you much higher. So your margins are greater. So that's when we kind of decided to play Blue Vector down. Out of all the things that we were doing at the moment, we realized that videos is our strongest offering at the moment. So we created dot films out of the Blue Vector team. And for everything else, we thought either we will acquire or we will hire experts and then build specialized agencies. So Content Ninja was an acquisition we did in 2019. They were a small team of 9 people then. And today that itself is a 30 people team. And they take care of all our inbound business. And for Volulu, we hired branding experts, built the studio. For the website, we acquired an agency. And that's how we kind of shaped up.
How big is the team now? You went from 45 to 20, and now you built yourself back up.
So currently we are back up to around 60, 70 people.
Wow. So bigger than you were even before.
Yeah.
I mean,
but it's broken down into all the different brands.
Well, I mean, this is exactly what we talk about. The scalability trap, if people are listening to the first time, is the fact that when you're selling labor, and many agencies are, they're just like taking work in. Then the more revenue you have, the more labor you must have. The payroll goes up. The payroll has to turn over, and it means you need to keep revenue up, and you can't scale your way to risk. And it's exactly what happened once there's clients left, and your payroll has to go, and then you're basically taking on the payroll risk from the company rather than building a business. Like, what do you own in that situation? So now you've cut it down. So was it successful? So you start focusing. Why did this work for you? Like, why did it turn it around?
So what happened when we started presenting ourselves as specialized brands? Each brand had its own processes. They had their experts leading it, being the face of the brand. And when those brands pitched to a particular brand for a service, they obviously saw us as experts. So we could command a higher price, much higher price, and we could give the client a much better experience. And the second thing what happened was in terms of our culture. So when you're a full service creative agency, you hire people from different skill sets and try to kind of put them all under one umbrella. But now that we have different teams for different services, you hire the like-minded folk for that particular team, and the culture and the learning in that particular team is different for all teams, and it works really well.
That's interesting.
That's the second.
That's interesting. Like, because they know their focus, the teams therefore also focus, and they can just focus on becoming better and better at that one thing. That's what you're saying.
Absolutely.
That's so interesting. I mean, because you actually cover more than just the one. You cover more of the funnel now. Like, so what is the, now you have more, like four agencies, or
yeah.
So how much of the service stack can you handle right now? So you do video. What else do you do? Content, you mentioned.
So this is how we planning this. So when clients come to us, so let's say if it's a new business, it's a startup, the first thing they need is branding, right? Then they move into our inbound marketing funnel. That's when they need to kind of launch themselves, spread the word. That's when our inbound marketing team, content marketing team takes over. And as they grow, they need videos, they need a website revamp or something like that. So that's the funnel right now. We are scouting for agencies who can do very good performance marketing work. So that will be the next addition in our suite of services.
I mean, that's so smart. Like it's like they're moving down the cafeteria line, like as they need it, and you have an answer to each question, but each answer is a specialty, right? So, do clients know that these are all your agencies?
Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't, but they don't care. As long as they get a great experience and they get great work, they hardly are concerned about whether they're all part of one company or not.
And is each agency responsible for acquiring clients on its own as well? Like,
absolutely. Each agency has a different marketing plan, different business development team. So again, they're also focused, and that really helps.
So that's interesting. So if you start with a video company, do they ever bring clients in themselves that then go back to the other agencies?
Absolutely. So that's been one of our biggest advantages in doing that. So there's a lot of cross selling that happens. So a client which is coming for video suddenly asks, "Hey, do you guys know somebody who can, revamp our website?" Like, yeah, I can introduce you to our sister company, which is Unclutter.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, watching a lot of Hell's Kitchen these days with Gordon Ramsay and Kitchen Nightmares. I love Gordon Ramsay. But like one of the standard things, I like watching other business like industries because you spend so much time in our own industry, right? And then you're just like lost in your own thoughts because you're like, oh, I know how that works. Or you discount your competitors. But watching a completely different industry, you can put yourself back and just appreciate the business of it. And one of the basic rules of restaurant tourship, a client just wants a great experience. And so they're going to go to a really great Italian restaurant and a really great French, a really great Indian restaurant. But what they don't want is like a buffet of everything, right?
Absolutely.
Unless they're a very unsophisticated customer. And, you can charge higher rates by providing quality food. And especially if you're going after major brands who want the best. Yeah, it's so interesting. And so what was the results like? So you obviously you grew the company again, but did your margins increase? What did it actually happen?
Because when you're working on projects, especially videos, branding, the margins are much higher than when you work on retainers with brands. And because we're able to target better companies, better brands with these specialized verticals, we're able to command a higher price, better margins, and our fixed cost per vertical is also very low.
And that's also because you have specialists. So one of the biggest problems, obviously, is the cost of labor. So has your cost of labor gone down as well per project?
I wouldn't say the cost of labor has gone down, but we need fewer people in each vertical, and we're able to hire better quality people.
Right.
Because we need a small team for every.
So you get higher quality outputs and charge higher rates.
Absolutely.
That's amazing. And like one of the things we also talk about here is, are you sustainable when you eventually lose some clients? Like, is your pipeline now, are you turning away clients? Is really the question. Have you got to the point where you can say no?
Yes, and that's probably because we have a small, very high quality team. So we can only take up certain number of projects at a time. And as the word spreads, you get a lot of inquiries, but because of your bandwidth limitation, you can only take a few projects. So we have to kind of turn down at least 40% of our clients at the moment.
40%. That's great. Yeah. I mean, I'm starting to learn that you need to be at least at the position where you can turn away 20% to handle a downturn. Yeah. Do you think you'll ever get back in the situation you were before where you lose a bunch of clients and you'll have to like dramatically restructure? Or are you actually feel like you're in a sustainable place now?
I think now we're in a sustainable place because all these verticals have been able to build cash balance for themselves so that they can sustain themselves for 3 months. Some verticals have a 6-month runway as well. So I don't think the same problem is going to challenge us again in future.
Well, it's another little element about your story that's so interesting because each of these are different business lines. Each element, they have their own P&L, right? And so if you have to lose one for whatever reason, the others are still their own sustainable businesses.
Absolutely.
Oh, wow. So what lessons learned? Like what did you wish you had known at the beginning of this journey that we've done it again better?
If I was to start the agency business again, the first thing that I'm going to write on top of my desk is cash flows. Cash flows is the fuel for agencies, not revenues, no profits. Just focus on getting your cash flows in place. And the way to do that is to get higher margins. You can get higher margins when you are a specialized business, because great brands want to work with a team of experts. So that's what I would tell myself if I was to start again. Focus on great margins, get your cash flows right.
Do you have a CFO or something tracking your cash flows?
Yes.
Yeah,
So,
did you have one at the beginning, or when did you decide that you need to get one?
So we did not have one in the beginning. I got married a year back, and my wife happens to be a chartered accountant, which is like a CFO equivalent in India. So I basically acquired a CFO by getting married.
She acquired you. And then did she look at your finances and then go, Piyush, you should have told me this before we got married?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I made a mistake, but now I have no choice but to help you correct this.
Yeah. What was the mistakes that she told you? Like, I don't know if you want to tell it, but it's always interesting. So many agencies don't have financial controllers, but there's all these little things that just make you better. What was, like, if there was any lessons you learned from having someone look at your books, what did she do to help you?
So what happened? So once she joined in as a full-time CFO, we actually built out a financial vertical. And the best thing was that the cost could be split between all the verticals, right? And she put processes in place for each vertical. So for example, if you're doing a video project, we need a certain percentage in advance. And then there were milestones created. That for each vertical, you'll have milestones for the projects, and you keep getting in cash as you progress in the project. So that really helped our cash flows.
Were you only like getting paid at the end of the projects before? Like, how would you do?
So when we were a full service creative agency, we were always getting paid at the end of the project.
Oh my God. Yeah. You're taking on in like the risk, the full payroll risk.
Yes.
Brutal.
Yes.
Yeah. 50% down. That's the way you go. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I could feel that. And that just hurts that you didn't take deposits before, but good. You got married and someone's fixed that for you. And like, if someone was going to do this again, like follow your shoes. I meet so many agencies that their website is just a bunch of technical skills like SEO, SEM, PPC. No, it's like watching a plumber tell you about their welding and soldering and pipe fitting skills. No one cares. They just want their bathroom installed. They don't care about your technical skills. But that's what you did. You took your full service agency and decided to go away with you, focusing on video. Why did you decide video, and how would someone else evaluate their best skills and go, this is the one? Like, what was the process that said, okay, video of all the ones to focus on?
So for us, we were the best at when it came to videos. But what we realized was most of the brands that wanted videos would go to a video production company rather than coming to a full service creative agency. So we realized that if we are good at videos, why don't we just talk about videos, that we are all about videos. And the margins in videos are also great. And to your earlier point, like when you see a lot of agency websites, you see a bunch of things, clients don't care about what are the 10 things that you do. They care about the outcome. So you rather just tell them that this is the kind of outcome you can generate for them. So when we talk about our video verticals, we say that we take the sentiment very seriously. For us, the sentiment of the video is what matters the most. So our tagline is light, sound, and sentiment. So I think it's the outcome that matters the most, and that's what the agencies should talk about.
100%. It's all about the results, and then the service back at the back end. And I think it's ironic that so many marketing agencies don't understand this, because it's the basics positioning. It's like you have to position yourself as one clear idea in the client's mind rather than being afraid of turning away any client. Were you afraid at the beginning? Because I think a lot of agencies are also afraid of saying no to a client, so they offer kind of anything because they're just selling work. They're not selling outcomes. So at the beginning, like when you started doing this, how did you convince your partners to, like, this is what we're going to do? Like, it must have been a leap of faith.
It was a leap of faith, as well as our situation demanded us to kind of rethink the model, restructure, all of that. But as you said, when we started out, we couldn't say no to any client because our payroll was so high. So every time there was a client, and even when I had the feeling that this client may not turn out to be a great fit for us, we had no choice but to kind of accept them. And it's,
yeah,
yeah. And I think it's all this is part of the early mistakes that we made.
amazing. So like, what's next? What's your next experiment?
So, when I started, so I wanted to build a business, right? Like, I think it was at the age of 16 when I decided that I'm going to become an entrepreneur and I want to build a large business which has great impact. Uh, I tried a couple of startups in college, both failed. Then I worked for a year at EY, learned how services business function, and realized, okay, let me start with this and then I'll figure out how to build a large company later. So while doing Blue Vector, I realized that if you add a lot of people on your payroll, you can never sell this business of selling labor. So what could be a model where you can continue to sell labor and also not add a lot of fixed cost on your payroll? So that's when I came up with this model, and I'm calling this venture In Common, where we are now helping international agencies build their teams in India. Because we've kind of figured out how do we discover the top talent, how do we set up teams, how do we build the processes and all of that, we want to now help international agencies build offshore teams here. So that's my next experiment, and we're calling it In Common.
It's brilliant. I mean, you've taken all your intellectual property and turned it into a product, right? So now I always hesitate to ask this question as an agency owner, like, what do you own? Because they actually came from another HubSpot agency. This is back in 2020 when everyone was freaking out. And he was another diamond partner. He's like, what? And he was in the scalability trap, just like you were. And he's like, Sunir, what do I own? And I was so confused because he was a diamond partner. But you realize that when you're first, let's be honest, when you're a diamond partner, you're begging HubSpot to send you another lead. That's basically you're in a position, right? You don't own it. You're happy to accept it, but they control it. But so then the question I said is, what can you build that is your own product, which is of course what AppBind fundamental idea is. And then you've done this. You've taken your processes that you've learned the hard way, the very hard way, and you're productizing. So what do you offer? What are you offering? Like, how does it work? What does In Common HQ offer, like an agency who wants to replicate your success? Like, what are the services you're providing?
Sure. So let's say you're a creative agency based out of the US, and you have your strategy team there, but you also need a large execution team, right? Because of our experience in the creative space, we know how to discover the top talent. So basis their requirement, we set up the team for them. If they want to set up an office, if they want to set up the entire infrastructure, logistics, we take care of everything. So hiring is the first thing that we offer. And then comes the compliance, payroll, everything. So we take care of that too. So no company has to worry about all of that. And then if you need infrastructure, you need an office space, you need systems, hardware, software, we do that too. So it's like you start with hiring and then you can opt for other services as you scale.
Yeah, that's incredible. And so how do you, well, since you have multiple brands, so what's the website for In Common HQ for the agencies who are listening to this who have this need? So
it's incommonhq.com.
Yeah, perfect. INCOMMON, in Common,
yes.
Right?
In Common, yes.
HQ.com. Amazing. I mean, thank you so much, Piyush, for you were like the canonical example of the scalability trap, but you worked so hard to get out of it, and now you have this model that not only helped you scale, but you've now taking it and now giving it to other people. I'm sure people want to get a hold of you. How do people get in touch with Blue Vector, yourself? Tell the folks.
I'm pretty active on LinkedIn, and my email is piyush@bluevector.co. So just feel free to shoot an email. Happy to respond.
I mean, thank you so much for doing this. I appreciate this. All right.
Thanks, Sunil, for having me.
Thanks for being here.
Cheers. Bye.
For more great insights on partnerships and software, like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.